Are you ready for a strongly worded statement? And look, I mean it. Are you genuinely ready? Because Halo Infinite is the sequel that Halo 3 deserved. Oh, you disagree? Yeah, it's cute, but honestly, I don't like making such strong statements on my channel. But at the same time, I seriously think that 343 have something fantastic cooking in the oven. But why Halo 3? Why not any other Halo game? Not Halo 1, Reach, 4, 5, 2, whatever. So let's put our Mjolnir helmets on, attach our cod pieces, and let's finish this fight. Hey up lads and lasses, Fletch here from Ultimate Halo, and if you're not already, I would love it if you guys could please consider subscribing. Honestly, I just love to do this as my job, so in doing that, you're just helping my dream come true. And if you want to come hang out with myself and the Ultimate Halo community, link is down below for my Discord. Alright, so the first question I do need to answer is why am I saying this is the sequel to Halo 3 that we deserve? Because why is it not Reach, 4 or 5? Those games came after. And the thing is, each and every single one of those games did something to polarize the fan base and really split them up. Whilst Halo 2 and 3 both had their controversies back in the day, even though you might not remember it, they did retain strong player bases throughout. And then when Halo Reach came out around the corner, this is truly where the issues started to arise. Armor abilities, they fundamentally changed the game and tore fans, and whilst Reach still has its cult following to this day, and yes, I do think it is a great game, it definitely did a lot of things wrong and divided the community. And now, look, Halo 4 was the same, but it doubled down on what Halo Reach did, and it made it more of a futuristic COD clone, as a lot of people were saying back in the day. And then Halo 5, whilst it still did take a bit of a step back, it kept advanced movement as a base trait, but as a result of that, it also really did become the sweatiest Halo game to date, in my opinion. So, what makes Halo Infinite so special? And it's no secret that Halo at some point will have had to change or adapt its formula. But the question is, what's the non-intrusive way of doing it, whilst retaining Halo's identity? Well, my question is to that, why fix what's not broken? And I think Halo Infinite makes all the right steps in keeping Halo's classic feel, but adding those modern mechanics that make it feel like a game that should exist in 2021. At the end of the day, Halo, as it stands, as you could not re-release Halo 3 in today's market. It wouldn't feel as responsive enough, it's not modern enough, and honestly, I don't think the gaming market would take to it. There's just a lot of nostalgia as to why people still play it to this day. So I do just want to take a moment to go over the gameplay elements and tell you just why it fits right. First of all, we do need to tackle the elephant in the room, which is sprint. Now look, I get everybody has an opinion on it, but it's been in the franchise just as long as it's not been in the franchise. But despite whatever gripes some viewers may have with it, a younger generation who didn't grow up with a lot of games not having this mechanic, it just makes sense for them to have sprint in a game. Whilst I don't want to go too far into it, my good friend NadeGod ran some of the calculations, and he found that sprint only increases movement speed by just short of 9%. And if you play with a low FOV, it doesn't actually feel like you're going that much faster. It's more of an enabler for the slide mechanic, which is going to be next, and slide isn't anything crazy, but it makes you slightly harder to hit if you do it at the right time, or if you're going down a ramp, it gives you an opportunity to accelerate your movement to gain an advantage if you're good enough with it. The next thing I think is appropriate to tackle, and this may be a controversial take, but I do not consider Halo Infinite to have aim down sights, or at least not like Halo 5's. And we do now see weapons such as the assault rifle having the ability to aim down more to get a bit more range on it, but thankfully, the way 343 have done it, I personally do not feel like it degrades the range and balancing compared to Halo 5, because Halo 5 gave you a lot of range and a hell of a lot of bullet magnetism. So overall, I think it's feeling pretty solid so far. So all of the mechanics we have just covered are things that were not in Halo 3, but they're all standardized FPS mechanics on the whole now, and I think 343 have cracked the code in adapting them for Halo combat. So they have made all of these additions and changes without overbearing Halo's original Halo Arena combat, but focus now can still be on maintaining power positions, weapons and pickups, all whilst doing the original Halo combat dance which Halo is known for, rather than just thrusting and sprinting out of harm's way, which I always felt was a really cheap part of Halo 5's combat. But haha, yes, you heard it and I've just mentioned it. Pickups. Now this was one of Halo 3's greatest strengths if you ask me. The idea that I could pick up equipment and tactically use them to gain an advantage over my opponent is something that I feel has been missing for a very long time in Halo. Sure, you can pick up camo or OS in Halo 5, but the difference here is that they don't diversify gameplay all that much. So how exactly do you diversify gameplay? Well, damn, let me talk about the Grapple Shot, because this thing is incredible. It feels great, it's got lots of wacky moments, and I do genuinely think it takes skill to make the right play, whether you are grappling an enemy from across the map or you're grappling a power weapon to take it out of the enemy's grasp. And I actually think this is an opportunity I feel Halo 3 missed out on, and I would say the only equipment piece that did anything similar in Halo 3 was the gravity lift. Then you have the drop shield, which I would argue is less cool, but it's more of a balanced version of the bubble shield. And then we have the threat sensor, which is a very cool piece of kit, and I only really used it when I had nothing else in my arsenal, but imagine how well this might work in big team battle. And the reason is, you can generally take a good guess at knowing where your enemies are going to spawn in Arena, due to their maps not being too big, and you can take guesses as to where their spawn points are depending on where you've just killed them. Whereas in big team battle, it's a lot less predictable where an enemy will be, so I find this will have some interesting plays. You can maybe rat out a squad or force them to divert away from your threat sensor so they go into another area so they don't risk being found out. There are lots of possibilities for this, so we'll have to see how this one plays out when we get our hands on it. Of course, you can have active camo and overshield as well, which are some of the same as usual, but the only change is that they can be activated at any time. Now, I will admit that has some fans divided, but I'm quite personally impartial. I think it's probably better they're treated like every other equipment piece in the game. Then the repulsor, which hasn't been used in a flight just yet, but looking to be a promising addition. It allows you to not only repel danger that comes your way, but also used as a movement tool as well. So all of these added together, plus things we haven't seen yet, are all looking amazing, but all build on terms of what the great foundations that Halo 3 set. Okay, so we're nearly there, but the last thing I do want to touch on is the weapons, because they are looking very balanced in terms of the sandbox. Now, I'm not going to delve into specifics of each gun, because frankly, that's a whole nother video in itself. But rather than having a really expansive sandbox like Halo 5, Infinite has looked to older Halo titles to concentrate on a focused sandbox, not oversaturating the arena gameplay and making almost every weapon viable if you have the right amount of skill. So, Halo Infinite, you cool guy you, I think you're working out to be a true successor to Halo 3. The game's taking on what makes the classics so great, but modernising them in a way that will make it accessible to new fans, and a new generation with that, bringing a whole bunch of new amazing memories along the way. But let me know in the comment section, what's your favourite part of Halo Infinite so far? What Halo game would you compare it to if you had to? Once again, my name is Jack Fletcher, and I will see you next time on the one and the only Ultimate Halo.
Subscribe now to Ultimate Halo for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.